So this season, it was season 3 of the Onside Podcast, and we had such a great time. You know, there were so many great moments this season. We had some amazing guests talking about all kinds of topics. We talked about beauty and health and wellness and menstrual products and soap from the Yukon. And there were so many great moments. It's kind of hard to pick just one. A couple great things I really loved about my conversation with SkinFix. So from Amy Gordinier, who's the CEO there, she really dove in about what you need to be successful in that kind of beauty industry and skincare industry. She talked about how much money you need and a bunch of different incubators and accelerators and things like that.
I would get that beauty industry help earlier if I were to go back. And there are so many associations and incubators and things like the Sephora Accelerate program that's very focused on women entrepreneurs and diversity. And especially if you're coming from a place like Nova Scotia or even Canada or someplace rural where you're not connected to the beauty industry the way I was, plug in as early as possible.
She was one of the ones that really inspired me, and some of her messages stayed with us and our team. Constanza from Newbornlander, she really is driving a new way of thinking about her business and how she can use it for a social enterprise, for a social purpose, and changing the world for good. So you can see how business can be a force for good across the world.
And I hope that people understand that what we sell is not just a hat. It is the values from the country. It is the hope for women. It is about the stories of women that come for freedom. And many times the system is not able to provide that. And if we can do it here, we will do everything to do that and to pursue that.
And then Rashmi Prakash, oh man, she was really great too. And she really challenged us on the show talking about menstruation and cultural taboos and getting people comfortable with talking about women's health in a new way.
The world is not designed for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's designed for a very, very specific, narrow range of people. I was like, wait, they haven't tested it on like brown people? They haven't tested it on women? They haven't tested it on this? Like, who is this actually designed for? That was something that I became aware of. And I realized that we needed more people from all of these different backgrounds creating these devices, because otherwise they're never going to be considered in them.
Our very first guest, Vicky Saunders from Coralus, really challenged us in terms of thinking about what does it mean to bring financing and money and economic empowerment to women in a new way. And she really challenged us with this idea of radical generosity.
We started with a simple invitation to people. It's like, what if we each just put a small amount of money per month into a pot? And we aggregated that up. And once a year, we opened up applications for people that had really cool ideas for solving global challenges we're facing, and to do it in a new way that was more equitable and kinder and healing, et cetera. And it's not just financial capital. It's, our influence, our expertise, our advice, et cetera. And so as an entrepreneur, you kind of walk into this whole new world where people say, I love what you're doing. It's amazing. How can I help?
And how we can use our money to support women entrepreneurs, really dive in deep with financial contributions, new way of funding, and take away some of the traditional ways that businesses are funded through venture capital and other things that have been somewhat oppressive to women. So I really thought that she sort of challenged our notion about finance and how we can fund and finance women's businesses. So this season, some of the themes that came up that really resonated with me, or that I found as we went through, is that we had a lot of businesses, because we had the very different kinds of businesses, but many of the entrepreneurs that we featured were purpose-driven entrepreneurs. They had an element of sustainability that they were striving for in their business and trying to make their businesses more sustainable, either through packaging, or Aruna Revolution is using new biomaterials and transforming waste into things that are actually useful. We also saw a lot of influence from different people's cultures and bringing in Indigenous knowledge and Indigenous culture and Indigenous ways of thinking and being, and having respect for the land and the products that we're bringing in. So those were some of the things that came up for me. Also, I think we're talking about innovation and entrepreneurship, and really that idea of continuously learning, thinking of new ways of doing things, whether that's new processes, new packages, just totally new things, but keeping fresh and innovating for the future. Those were some of the themes that came across. This season was very different than the seasons we've done before because we decided to add a live element by broadcasting our podcast with live guests. To the extent that we could, we would do that here in the studio live. So that was very exciting and a way for us to bring the audience into the conversation. We were able to put up things for people to be able to ask certain questions, or we could get some audience participation a bit. And I think it brought us a new audience. I think in December, we actually got around 80% new visitors or new participants watching our show and watching the podcast. So that was really pretty exciting. I think the live element made it fresh and exciting, and you never knew what was going to happen. So you had to kind of tune in to figure out what was going to happen. So I think that was really exciting. I also think that doing the podcast live, I've actually been stopped around town where people have said, "Hey, Alex, I've seen your podcast," like complete strangers, people I don't know. I was at the Apple store and someone came up to me and they were like, "I've seen your podcast." And I never expected that at all. And so people have been coming up saying they really like the podcast. They like the people that we're featuring, the questions that we're asking. So I think we're taking things in a really great direction and we're starting to get some good traction. We really wanted to feature women. We really wanted to talk about inclusion and entrepreneurs from all kinds of backgrounds, all sorts of industries. And we actually got really inspired by the guests that we had. And so it challenged us to think about, okay, well, we talked to this entrepreneur who is making soaps. Now we have an entrepreneur who is a musician. Now we have an entrepreneur who is, making skincare products or a medical product or has a natural foods. And it really challenged us to think about the nature of women's entrepreneurship, who's out there. So as we reached out for other inspiring podcast guests, we would get inspired and interested in all the variety of women's entrepreneurs that we came across. And I would definitely say, so for example, Allison Gibson, who was at Spring, challenged us to think about, financing and venture and the ways that women get funded and Black women in particular.
One of the really cool things that I've realized when I talk to women, it's almost like what I went through where I didn't realize I was already doing startup advisory. A lot of these women don't realize that they're already badass entrepreneurs. They're already doing the thing. And so they'll book like a coaching call with me and they'll tell me all that they've done on their own. And I was like, you did this by yourself with like little to no money? I'm always like, ma'am, people blow through millions of dollars trying to do what you just essentially bootstrapped on your own.
Mm-hmm. So it really made us think about, who's voices are missing. What part of the conversation can we add? And who do we know that we could bring to the podcast and to our own work and start to build some bridges there and create space for others to really share their experiences with entrepreneurship and their life experiences. Entrepreneurship doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's part of your life. I think the state of women's entrepreneurship in our region is improving slowly but surely. I think we know that across Canada, probably only about 18.5, hopefully 19% of women-led companies exist in Canada. And so we're seeing more women showing up. More women are starting businesses. But we need to see more of that. And I think that there are a lot of supports over the last couple of years to help women build their confidence, build their skills, learn how to finance their company, get the right mindset. So I feel like we're on the right track. We're also seeing women venture into other things that are not traditional sectors for women's entrepreneurship. So traditionally, we see a lot of consultancies, we see a lot of retail, we see a lot of natural products, and we did feature some of those folks on our show. We like to have a lot of variety, but we also featured folks like Aruna Revolution, who have a deep technology. They have a manufacturing facility. They have their own biofibers and bioprocessing that they're doing. So we have all kinds of people trying new things and really thinking about how they can innovate in their companies and their businesses. So I think the landscape is shifting, and we're seeing more people show up and actually be more visible, telling their stories, telling others that they can come, they can join. Just as we say at Onside, you can start now. You don't have to start big, but you just have to start. So if you start something small and you keep at it and you keep taking, classes and you keep meeting with other women, getting mentorship, networking, talking, getting out there, getting some money, then you can start going and learning and doing and growing. And people are really rooting for us. I think people want to see more women entrepreneurs. I certainly do. And so I think there's a community that's growing of women entrepreneurs who really want to see other women thrive. I think all the women that we talk to are trying new things. They may have started a company before, or they may not have. They got out there, they didn't see themselves as an entrepreneur, but they had an idea, they had a passion, they saw some way that they could make an impact, and they just kept pushing and pushing and trying and trying. And it takes a lot of perseverance to do that. And I feel like the women that we had on our podcast were all trailblazers. We want to continue to feature more women entrepreneurs. We want to dive in a little bit deeper, maybe with specific steps or ideas that can really help other entrepreneurs, and really take a deeper look at some of the challenges and some of the tactics that women entrepreneurs have been able to take to overcome those barriers, and also to find out what are the things that women need now. The landscape is shifting. We have all kinds of things that are happening, whether it's from tariffs or new barriers, new technology, AI, all of these things are sneaking up. And I think we want to get perspectives that can share what women feel are on the horizon and what they need for themselves to be successful. The thing I want early stage entrepreneurs to know, especially women entrepreneurs, is that you can do it. You don't have to be scared, or you can be scared, but you can still do it. Entrepreneurship is challenging, but it's also very rewarding. You can create your own path. You can create your own way of being in the world, and creating your own company, whether it's a big company or a small company or something you do with your family or on your own, can really give you the freedom and independence that you might be looking for. And so I think whether you're getting into it for financial reasons, or you have a social purpose, or you just want to tinker around and try something, or you have a new technology that you're trying to try out or test out or want to see come into the world, I think even if you're scared, just start. Just try a few things. And we also learn from not doing things great the first time, and we just start again. We try it again. So I think for all the women entrepreneurs who are out there who are thinking about it, just give it a try. So I want to give a quick shout out to my Onside team, Kene and Lizelle and Lynn and Megan, and all the people who have supported Onside over the year and the past years to really spread our work around inclusive innovation and helped us out with this podcast, including the folks at Podstarter. So thank you very much.